imagination. As he grows, probably his imagination level goes up or down. I leave it to the imagination of the audience. Now, is there any science behind this imagination? This is a one big question mark because we have to answer to this one. All of you know very well Roger Sperry. He got a Nobel Prize in 1981, especially for his work on brain. In the brain, he is the first man to identify the left brain and right brain. The left brain activities related to logic, reason, sequencing, mathematics, facts, etc., etc. And he identified the right brain to imagination, holistic thinking, intuitive way of thinking, feeling of our emotions and all. Until then, people were thinking that brain as a whole, it does all these things. Now, if we see very carefully in our educational system, most of the time we give emphasis for logic, reason, and the analytical way, the linear way of thinking, that is the left brain activity, but hardly there is right brain activity. Now this imagination or whatever we call, which are required for the artist and all, it is the right brain activity. But the best that can be is that the synthesis between the left brain and right brain activity. That is what exactly is happening in the present educational policy of asking all the institutions to combine the scientific activities or the learning activities without the mix of the humanities and the other arts, etc. So this imagination is not imagination by itself. It has got very strong, proven scientific relations. What we have to say is that the right brain activities must be encouraged along with the left brain activities for our future generations. Having said this one, it is not only the man. I said the life forms itself has got the imagination. The same faculty that what we use in our dreams as imagination, we dream many of the things we feel it is as a reality. The same thing happens when we are consciously imagining of a solution about a particular problem. And synthetic imagination it is lies by mixing life experiences sometimes, the concepts that what we have already the known knowledge, from that one the imagination comes. Sometimes when we become pure childlike thinking, the ability of the something which is not perceptible to the sense of our perceptions will come as an imagination. And this imagination has got its domain quite large. There is a Japanese proverb, a frog in well, what we call as the knowledge, knows not the strength of the mighty ocean, the imagination. On the same beams, our Nobel laureate Einstein, he says, while knowledge is only a focus, the imagination has no boundaries at all. And in this slide, you can see the spider. What a wonderful creature it is. It, under a given conditions, I don't know whether it is imagination or what that exactly goes into its mind. It is able to sense the environment, the distances, the winds, the wind velocities, temperatures, humidities, etc. And then out of that one, it brings a network and what we call spider network. And most important thing is that there is a spider web gate is there. In any space that enters into the spider web gate inside, it will not be able to come back. Once it is just like a mouse trap. When once the prey go inside, it cannot come out, and the spider web happily lives on this one. So in the life forms, this imagination is appearing in a very, very fantastic way. Probably if we look at the nature, nature has many, many examples like this. Man has tried to imitate some of the nature's wonders, imagination, and translate into realities. Now, how these great scientists, how this imagination comes up, what makes them to imagine? As I said already, the left brain activities need to be supplemented with the right brain activities of something else that makes us relax. In the case of Einstein, his favorite love affair is with his cherished violin. In the case of Srinivasa Ramanujan, he used to think of the mother. He says, I cannot see any equation without imagining it is connected to the divinity. And here comes one more great man, Nobel laureate Freeman. It is not a story. It is an autobiography itself. He says he used to go to the striptease dance clubs to have a relaxation. When somebody asks, why do you go? That is the best place where nobody will disturb me. And you see here, it says the context physicist knows to frequent topless bars, doing calculations on the napkins. What the slide it means is that for different people, the imagination stems from different aspects of the thing. For someone, one aspect triggers. For somebody else, the other aspect will trigger. But there is a triggering point for the imagination to come. When the imagination comes, they will get a holistic solution for the particular problem of what they are pursuing, and they go back. And in fact, each one of us also, we rush back like that. And when we implement, we find amazingly solutions to our problems. Now, when we come to the engineering aspect of the thing, imagination or intuition is the basis of all advancements of new designs. The prototypes are based solely, purely on imagination. These imaginations are put together vigorously and then designed, redesigns, and then optimization, and finally the prototype, and finally the product that comes. This is everybody's knowledge. I don't need to emphasize on this one. Now, is it only in the case of the artist, scientist, or somebody else, or even for a common person also? You know very well Steve Jobs. His life is a mysterious life. He had many failures, but with all these things, a courageous man, he thought he wanted to do something good for the society. He was aimlessly wandering during the period. He says that he happened to come to the Himalayan region and Nepal, and there in the Himalayan region, he happened to see people in hardships, how they are making life very happy with their minimal resources, but with maximal satisfaction in an innovative way, in a very imaginative way that triggered him to think of how all these people can be interconnected. And that too interconnection at my fingertips. That is the nucleus for the Apple products. And I love very much one of his statements saying that make anything simple. In the most complex problem, if we can find a simple solution, that is the greatest thing. If we look at the Einstein's theory of relativity, it may be a very voluminous thing and all, but for a common man, he simply said E is equal to mc square, a simple formula. I love very much his statement of complex things. If you are able to make the simplest things, that is the imagination. There lies the imagination. So he is a classic example where his imagination he translated into reality. Today, the Apple products are one of the best that each and every one of us are making use of it. Now I come back to other classic example. All of you know very well Arthur Clarke. He was army engineer and he used to communicate with the people during the World War II, and he found some deficiency in the communication. He was not able to communicate to the other side of the hemisphere of the thing. Then afterwards, he came back. He came to India, and of course, he has settled down in Sri Lanka. And during the period, he wrote Space Odyssey, a science fiction novel, where he imagined that an object which will be orbiting around the Earth, and this object is connected onto the ground with communication, This two-way communication can connect the entire the world, the Earth, that what he felt. The Space Odyssey he wrote in 1953. All of you know very well. Within short time, the first Sputnik, the satellite has been launched. From then to now, in the last 60 years or whatever it is, thousands and thousands of satellites are there. Now, the biggest problem is the space debris. Of course, we have to have the imagination how this debris has to be removed. So Arthur Clarke, with his immense imagination of his space odyssey, he opened a Pandora's box of space industry, touching the hearts of millions and millions of people. Based on the same thing, it has not left India behind. Here comes a great man, Vikram Sarabhai, a young man, ambitious, and he had an imagination that he would love to see India doing very well. When he came in early 60s and when he wanted to do, he said, when somebody asked why do you would like to have the space program, he said, we can do what other countries they can do. More than that, we can do what other countries cannot do. In a nutshell, is it true? Is there any imagination part in this one? Next slide, I will show you, but here you can see a bullock car. This story I will tell you in the next slide. But in a nutshell, I will tell you, starting from a bullock car story, the Indian space program, as you know very well, one of the very wonderful things, magnificently contributed just like IIT Madras for the education, and it has done the Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. And what Sarabhai's dream of imagination of we can do what others can do. Yes, we built our rockets, we built our satellite, just like anybody else. What we have done, what others could not do. For 60 years, 6 decades, many of the countries, they wanted to find out whether water is there on the moon or not. But fortunately or unfortunately, the success was not there. India has launched only one satellite, Chandrayaan. With Chandrayaan, they found traces of the water on the moon. It is a big success. And then they wanted to go to the Mars. Many of the countries, in the first attempt, they had big problems. But India, a first time, only one satellite has been sent to the Mars orbit. And the first attempt itself very successfully launched the Mangalyaan, the Mars mission. And India is the first country which has launched 100 satellites in a single go. And India, once it used to go to the other countries to launch their satellites. And today the situation is that many of the advanced countries, European countries, especially the sport satellites and all, they are being launched from the Indian soil with Indian rocket. Here also, the Indian rocket is unique in the sense it is the imagination of some pioneers. The waste product from the sugar factory has been made use as a rocket fuel for that one, and India is having the biggest size solid motor. So with this one in a nutshell, what it means to say is that Vikram Sarabhai, who has a dream, and this dream of imagination of making the country very, very magnificent, not only magnificent technologically, but the fruits must reach to the common man. If you see that one today, probably whether you take agriculture, whether you take soil surveys, whether you take communication, whether you take medicine, whether you take any of the field, there is invariably the part of the space program is there. So in that sense, Sarabhai's imagination, I have a passion to excel. My country shall excel, but have a compassion to serve the common man, the poorest of the poor man. Yes, that has been done. So this imagination converted into a magnificent reality. Now I come to a short story about the bullock cart. It was Apple satellite. Probably some of the youngsters maybe or may not be knowing what this Apple is. Professor, you are raw. When he started satellite program at Bangalore, the first project was the Apple project. Of course, there were Bhaskara and Aryabhatta was also there. Somebody asked, Professor Rao, after Apple, what you will do? I'll do, of course, pineapple. But of course, at that time, the program was not clear. But you see the humor side of the thing. The pineapple will follow the apple. Is it true? What is this apple? Apple is Ariane passenger payload experiment on Ariane rocket, which the Europeans were launching for the first time. And this satellite, Indian satellite, has went as an payload free of cost to test their rocket. And in that one, we had a chance, but they put a condition. The satellite should be able to withstand the vibratory conditions of the rocket. It should have the integral integrity, mechanical integrity of the thing. To prove that one, of course, some of the people may be knowing this satellite program started in small sheds at Bangalore. No facilities were there. And one young man came with an imaginative thinking, saying that we have bullock cart in our house in the village. We'll put the satellite on the bullock cart and take on the roads of the India and then see how the integrity of the satellite and its communications will be. It is a marvelous success. When Europeans they came, they got marveled at the imaginative power of the Indians. This is the strength of the Indian imagination. It is not, of course, Indian, of course, the imagination of the humanity by itself. But here you see, they see jobs of complex problem converting into a simple problem with imaginative power. I go to the next slide, wherein, Murthy, do you have, you said in your introduction, saying that you have some experiences. What are your experiences? I'll share one or two. You see, after the Kargil War in 1999, India felt the need to have a very high resolution imagery. Of course, for many other town planning applications and many other applications. At that time, this particular technology is guarded secret of a couple of the countries. Neither they wanted to give the technology, nor they wanted to give any products. But India wanted to do. And we wanted to go in a linear mode. At that time, I was a little bit courageous, saying that yes, we will build this satellite. And the then chairman, Dr. Kasturangan, he asked me, how much time do you require to develop this optics? Probably 6 or 9 months. I was emotional, maybe, not thinking what will be the repercussions of the thing. I made a commitment of that one. This particular optics is approximately of 700 at that time. Later on, now it became 1 meter in diameter, lightweighted to 85 to 90%. The complexity is that it has to be held in such a way for thermal variations, it should be able to have the freedom to expand or contract the whole mirror. For vibrations of rocket vibrations, it should be able to withstand very firmly. So these are the two extreme opposite things. When you hold very tightly, it will not have the freedom to expand and contract. When you have the freedom of that one, the vibration may not happen. When chairman, he was asking Murthy how you are going to tackle the way it was asked, then it came to my mind an imagination saying that finger blade holding, which means with fingers normally we hold any of the things in our hand. So these fingers, either they expand depending upon the size of the thing, but fingers, they can feel the grip of the thing also. This finger blade technology with 85% of light weighting, with lambda by 100 RMS value, with imaging capability of sub-meters has been developed within 6 months' time. It was a record time. It is called TES, Technology Experimental Satellite. When somebody asked me, what is this TES? For ISRO, it is Technology Experimental Satellite, but for Murthy's group, it is Team Empowered Satellite. The team has been empowered to imagine at each and every stage, at each and every step of what the next step it has to be done. And finally, today, I am very proud to say this particular TES satellite has left a legacy. Even 2 months back, a satellite with 1.2 meters has been launched with a resolution much, much better than that one, but with the same principles, with same technology. That is the legacy. where the simplicity exists in imagination, meeting the complex requirements and becoming a landmark legacy. Now, I come to one more point. All of you know very well, I was talking about the Chandrayaan just a few minutes ago. If you recall very well, the Chandrayaan, which we launched during October of 2008. During that time, there was a cyclone, normally cyclone period at that time, and Tamil Nadu declared 1 week holidays, and the entire world, they predicted with their meteorological forecast that the cyclone is going to cross most perhaps likely at Sriharikota or the Tamil Nadu coast. And I was looking after the atmospheric science program at the time, and then we have to make the necessary calculations and give a go-ahead for the launch of the satellite. And this program was going on. Everyone was crossing their fingers. Many people and many international organizations, they advised India to abandon this particular launch on that particular day, because the impending cyclone crossing the coast at Sriharikota. But probably I myself, I was not very much convinced. We had the meetings. Next day, we are going to launch at 5 o'clock. We had meetings at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock. I firmly stood saying that we are going to launch the satellite. And chairman, he has taken a bold, decisive step, Madhavan Nair, and next day, the satellite was launched. It was a roaring success. And then many of the press people, other people, they asked, how did you dare to launch a satellite under the impending conditions of this one? I tell you where the imagination comes over here. We have at Sriharikota, many of the automatic weather stations and Doppler weather radars, all such things were there, all sophistications were there. But my mind was telling the farmers, normally they look towards the sky, they smell the atmosphere, and they can say very clearly whether it is going to rain or not, and when the cyclone is going to come. I wanted to make use of that one without the knowledge of anybody. I supplemented the technological knowledge with the farmers' knowledge, and they were matching very closely. That gave me the confidence. With that imaginative power, we launched the satellite very, very successfully. The secret of that farmer's sensing of that one is that he is nothing but the nose, the smell, the electronic nose. Even till to date also it is not there. But now slowly we migrated into a level where our satellites can be launched in all weather conditions. This is one of the wonderful examples where imagination of mixing the traditional knowledge with that of the technological knowledge for the complex problem and finding the solutions in a simple, efficient way. Now I come to the story of, I am talking about on one side Steve Jobs, the other side Einstein and great personalities and all. Here is one more simple example. In the beginning, I said, every man has got the imaginative power. One day I was coming back to the home, and all of a sudden the driver stopped the vehicle at Bangalore high ground police station in front of it. He stopped it. When I asked, why did you stop? The driver, he said, sir, it is raining very heavily. I can't drive in this one. Then I closed my eyes, and after some time he asked, what are you doing? I'm just about closing my eyes and then relaxing. No, not here in office. In office, I know, you know very well that we are doing some optics and all. Sir, can't you have a problem for my problem? What is your problem? You see, our car window, when in the heavy rain, I am not able to see in front. Can't we have some coatings for this one? I didn't know how to explain to this driver, this young man, Harish, well, what is the complexity of the problem? I just simply kept quiet to avoid him any further confrontation. Next day morning, to my great surprise, when I was coming to the office, he took me into some other route. In that some other route, he stopped somewhere in some pond, which was a little bit dirty, and he asked me, kindly get down. I got down. Then he asked, sir, can you see? Yes, I can see. I can't see here only. It is something is not very good. No, no, sir, there is a pond, there is a lotus, can't you see? Yes, I can see. Can you see a water drop on the lotus leaf? Yes, I can see. What does that convey? This water drop doesn't stick to the lotus leaf. Like that, can you have a coating on my car and make that one? I really bewildered. I could not. My mind stopped working. I was realizing, you see how a young man with his imagination, he gives a solution for the problem. Believe me or not, my dear friends, then hydrophobic coatings were developed, and now today he is one of the big industrialists, a young man, unlettered man in educational system, but has got the tremendous imagination looking at the nature and how it can be applied for the complex technologies of hydrophobic coatings, of course, applying for various other applications. And now I come back to some of the slides which are in the other areas. Nearly 150 years back, the photophone, using the sunlight, they used to communicate the things. At that time, people could not believe, but in the recent period of 10 years, 2009, these three people got the Nobel Prize for the invention of the fiber optics and the CCD systems. And today we have the fiber optics communication. And just a few minutes back, I was talking to Professor Babu saying that 5G is going to be the emerging technology for all our problems. Hats off to this imagination of optical based communication. And now today, the fiber optic communication is one of the wonderful things connecting the entire world. So the imagination of using the photons for communication has become a reality. Now I come to the other great stalwart. The stalwart is, all of you know very well, Freeman. And Freeman has got a good friend, Hibbs. Hibbs, this slide itself, if you can read it, you kindly read it. Hibbs, what he felt is that as a doctor, I feel like swallowing a pill. The pill goes through the heart, goes through the intestines, goes to the other parts of the body. It takes the imagery. This imagery will be sent to the doctors to his office, and doctor can take the decision. That was the imagination of the hips. This he communicated to Freeman. And Freeman on his own, he himself has got his own imagination. You know very well his style of working. And I show you in the next slide. The hips imagination has become a reality. Today we have a pill. In this pill, there is a small laser that illuminates inside organs, and there is a camera system, takes the pictures. There is an antenna which transmits the data. The data goes to the doctor, and finally the doctor analyzes and the thing. The fascination or the imagination of Dr. Hibbs has become a reality. Probably it is touching the millions of people instead of waiting in the hospitals for the tube inserting. A simple swallowing pill solving the problem of the take of the imagery inside the thing diagnostic tool is a wonderful thing, imagination turned into a reality. And now I come to the Freeman once again. Freeman, after his excellent work on quantum electrodynamics, for which he got the Nobel Prize, he had an imagination. He felt on the tip of the thumb of a thumb pin, the encyclopedia must be written. In that context, he has to attract the young mind. He threw two challenges. One challenge is the first prize reduced towards a page or 25,000 times to that of it could be read by the electron microscope. The second prize he announced for developing a motor, nano motor, wherein the real electrical motor is there, rotor, stator, everything is there. That was the challenge that was thrown. Yes, both of them were met. And today, nanotechnology is pervading the lives of all the people touching. So the simple feeling of there is plenty at the bottom of what the famous imagination, there is plenty at the bottom. Why he said that plenty at the bottom? At the universe, if you see the macro level, when he came and he was working on quantum mechanics, The quantum mechanics, the quanta, it is having a quanta paradox, what we call. Sometimes it behaves either as a particle or a wave, depending on the observer. So when he saw that one, probably he felt there is plenty, probably that plenty imaginationally, even the Higgs goes on discovery, the roots are light for that one. So Freeman's imagination of plenty at the bottom, imagination has opened Pandora's box of trying to understand the basic things of what this universe is made up of, and then many of the nanomaterials touching the hearts of the many people. But for here are the challenges for the young people, where the macro system becomes the micro system, where exactly is the boundary point, how the properties of the macro system change to that of the micro system. They are all the questions. Why I was saying these questions is that it is the nothing but famous questions that triggered the imagination of the some people. These imaginations drawn some of the answers. Now I'll come back to one more classic example of Moore's law. All of you know very well. At that time, we used to have on the tabletop radios with the transistors, wall tubes, and all the other thing. Moore, he predicted, saying that every 2 years, the ICs, the number of the packages that can go inside, will shrink and shrink. This depends upon the lithography activity and all the other thing, and it has gone quite a lot up to 2005, 2008. And people, they thought probably Moore law is going to break down. That is the time exactly. A two-dimensional material, graphene has come. Now, graphene is going to is playing a role in making of the electronic components. So it kept the hopes of the Moore's law alive. The Moore's law of saying that it has continuously from 65 to 2019 very successfully. In the future, how it is going to happen after the graphene, what next? It is the imagination of the youngsters sitting and listening to me. Probably they have their own imagination how this electronic world is going to shrink. And now I come slightly a different way. All this time I'm talking about the imagination converting into an some model, and from the model becoming an object of experimentation and all the things. But there are much more complex things out there. These complex things cannot be experimentally done. For which they use the thought experiment. Thought experiment is nothing but imagination. Schrodinger's cat experiment is a thought experiment for solving the problem of the quantum duality. Einstein himself, his theory of relativity has come out of his thought experiment. Or thought experiment of what? The light is there. C plays a very important role in his mathematical equation E is equal to mc square. This C, the velocity, the light, if the light ray, if I capture into my hand, what will happen? It is a thought experiment that what has done, he has made this thought experiment, made upside down, left and right, tumbled up many of the things, and finally the Einstein famous equation has come. My dear friends, thought experiments without any expenditure, sitting anywhere for complex problems we can apply, not only for our small, simple life problems, to that of the complex problems of intergalactical problems or the universal problems also. So thought experiment is one of the most classic thing of the imaginative power of the thing. Now, finally, they come to the conclusion of the thing, what it means of this imagination. I could have gone like this, many of the examples personally. Personally, probably if somebody said 6 awards are there, all these awards are nothing but out of fancy imagination, getting converted into a technology, has gone to the productionization and all. Like that, I could have talked to many, but due to the constraint of the time, I am confining myself because it has already given the flavor for the youngsters. What is the power of this imagination? How this imagination has to be nurtured or nourished inside our brain at no expense of any of the thing, and how it can make wonders of the wonders. So this insight makes them creative. And how this creativity will come, these insights tend to come suddenly and characteristically, not when sitting in front of your work, but when you are relaxing. This relaxation for Einstein is violin, for Srinivas Ramanujam, Devi, and for Freeman, it is bar, restaurant. Like that, for some people while walking, suddenly the imaginative power may flash as intuitive thought. Serendipity may happen. So like that, never please lose your thoughts. Be aware of yourself, aware of your surroundings, aware of your problem in your mind, meditate on your mind, and capture the flash of the thoughts. They provide new insights, new solutions in short time, often open new opportunities and new paths to growth, new attitude and behavior to solve the crisis. This is in nutshell, my dear young friends. With this one, I conclude saying that if we go to the Vedic time, India has got the imaginative power. If I start speaking about the Vedic Indian mind, it by itself is a very fascinating thing, very fascinating thing. It is the frog jump, they thought. So, our very blood, Indian blood, the imagination is running through each one of us. So nurture this innovative capabilities in our blood, nurture the innovative centers like AMTDC, and the power of imagination makes you infinite. Not only you grow, along with you, your families will grow, along with you, the institutions will grow, the nation will grow, the humanity will grow. All the best for all of you, my dear friends. Thank you very much. My
Yes.
message.
Thank you very much, Murthy Garu. Yeah, thank you very much. I think I will ask Srikanth, to moderate it and then see whether special queries or specific questions.
Thank you, sir, for a very illustrative presentation and talk. So I now open the session for questions.
The questions also will be imaginative, and answers also will be imaginative.
Yeah, I think somebody, yeah. Hello?
Is it? I was not able to
Someone
communicate
is
the subject to
asking
the
a question.
youngsters.
I think there is a question in the chat box, sir. I will read it from Dr. Srinagleshwar. Professor Murthy, thank you very much for this interesting session. Can you please share some ways how one can nurture curiosity as imagination comes from curiosity?
Yes. See, that's why at one stage I was telling about the child curiosity to know something which is not known. Whenever there is unknown thing is there, the unknown thing, the human mind can take two paths. One is fear. It is unknown, darkness, unknown. A fear may come. And in darkness, I want to know what is there in the darkness, whether there is any wealth, a curiosity. Normally, child having no fear, it is more oriented towards the curiosity. When it has got more curiosity to know, when the tools are not there, it imagines and then brings in a very innovative way. That is how we see on the beaches also the children playing with the sand dunes and all the other things. So curiosity, yes, is part and parcel of the imagination.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but here I would say probably either our educational system or our way of teaching, or for that matter, speakers like me, must be able to invoke the curiosity of the listeners. when there are no questions, probably the speaker was not able to invoke the curiosity or trigger the curiosity. This is what has to happen. Thank you, anyway.
Thank you, sir. I think Dr. Subbu has asked already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Professor Babu and Srikant, and
Yes.
more importantly, Dr. Murthy. A very
Yes.
enlightening and insightful talk. Sometimes the curiosity and imagination seems to be kind of blunted by what you call the externalities. That is, right from childhood, you're told you have to get a grade, you have to go to IIT. If not, you're not successful. I don't mean to say negative about IIT, but in general. Or you don't go to this area, you're not successful. Or you don't make so many lakhs per year, you're not successful.
Yeah.
Or if you don't make so many lakhs per year, you don't get a good marriage alliance, so you don't have a future. So, all of these social constraints make us kind of blunt the curiosity of the
I have one small thing to add. This imagination, see, a coin always will have the head and tail. There cannot be monopole. A magnet is always dipole. Similarly, imagination also, destructive imagination will be there. The imagination must be constructive. When all the youngsters, any of the untoward things are happening in the society, it is largely due to the wrong imagination, unwanted imagination, destructive imagination. This imagination is not the thing. For this one, we have to find solutions, how to make it purely a constructive type of the imagination. We must bear in our minds when we are triggering the right brain activity. The right brain activity, when you are triggering along with the left brain, which is well nourished, probably it can happen also. It is happening also. So we must be prepared for these eventualities also. Thank you.
There is a question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. There is a question from Srikant SDR. He says, "Thank you, sir, for this presentation. I have to know what are the qualities to make the imaginations possible."
Oh, you see, I tell you from my own experience. You can draw from that one, whatever they think. See, as somebody was asking, the fear or the curiosity and all the other things, there will be a problem, either technical problem or some other nature of the problem. For this problem, there must be a solution. For the problem to understand, there must be sufficient amount of knowledge background already stored in the subconscious mind. So read as much as possible related to the topic of that one, that what we call literature survey of whatever it is in our nomenclature. After this, then we ponder over the solution, mentally the solution. For this one, when you are extensively work, the elasticity of the mind will go, the plasticity will come. So in that one, we must have some relaxation. When you are relaxing, then suddenly for the given problem and with given amount of the knowledge, the mind tries to connect this given knowledge to that of the given problem, like Archimedes' principle. Archimedes, he has the problem of whether the crown is made of gold or some other material. He got enough of knowledge of the chemistry or material science and all, enough knowledge. But he was wondering on that one, he was having the thing. He had a bath in the tub. Suddenly it flashed when the water spilled over. Then that curiosity thing, what you call, or imaginative thing, solution you call, when the mind was prepared and ripened, when he was relaxing, yes, the solution will come. The mind must be able to capture that one. If it is not able to capture, we miss the bus. Many a times in our life, we have the problem, we have the sufficient knowledge also, we will be having the imaginative solutions also, but we fail to capture the imaginative solutions that are crossing through our mind. We think that particular thought is not much useful. But if you are with conscious awareness, if we look at that particular thought may have a solution for that one. So in a nutshell, having a problem, having sufficient knowledge, having a meditative mind on finding the solution, and then relaxing in some other thing. And then when the thoughts are coming, capturing of that one, this will be the cycle of the thing that what happens.
Thank you, sir. I have one question in relation to this,
Yes.
relation to the thought experiments you had mentioned.
Mhm.
So generally, for a human being, controlling the thoughts is very difficult. So we easily jump from one thought to the another, and then it proceeds. So how actually, when you say the thought experiments has to be done, so how it has to be carried out, and then how it can lead to the imagination and creativity?
Oh, you see, you yourself, you said number of thoughts will be coming. And see, in a bucket with full of water, you pour any amount of water, it outpours, but no bucket never gets filled up with the new water. What it means is that a mind filled with full of thoughts, when new thought is coming, may not be able to absorb it. And you yourself, you said it is a very difficult thing. But here, I will tell one simple type of the thing. Suppose to our house somebody comes, and he comes when you are welcome, inviting, and if you treat him perfectly well, he will come next time. If the reception is good, he will visit third time, fourth time, and he will make a habit of coming again and again to our house. Suppose in the first place itself, we are not receptive to the friend who is visiting, that friend will never visit. Same is the case with the thoughts also. The thought which is not entertained by the mind as a friend, or the thought which doesn't get nourishment in our own mind, the thought will go away. It does not come again back like that, one after the other thought. When we think whether it is a useful thought or not useful thought, we can distinguish and give reception to that thought or not. Like that, many of the thoughts we can eliminate. And finally, we'll have a mind, still mind. In the still mind, a fresh problem, only two thoughts are there. The problem and the knowledge associated to that one and the solution. Here comes our ancient literature. When Arjuna was asked to put the arrow and strike for Draupadi's Swayamvara, when somebody asked Arjuna what you saw at the time, I did not see anything or the surroundings. I was able to see only the eye of the fish on which I have to strike my arrow. So similarly, our mind, the thought when we eliminate one after the other, it anchors to the problem, anchors to that of the knowledge, anchors to that of the fresh thought that is coming with a solution for this one. That is how we can capture, I feel. This is one way, not the unique way. We are all individuals. Every individual has got his unique way of understanding the problem, of imagining of the problem, and finding of the problem. It is not a solution. It is only a solution, not the solution. So many people, so many solutions. Thank you very much.
Understood, sir. Thank you. Are there more questions?
Yes.
Yeah, someone has asked something, you know? I think, yeah.
No, sir. You can unmute and speak, whoever needs to interact with Dr. Murthy, sir.
So anybody?
Maybe I'll ask another question to Dr. Murthy.
Yeah.
Sir, Yeah, you gave this wonderful example of the ISRO and its unique accomplishments. Supposing somebody wants to imagine similar sector in manufacturing, or even a center like AMTDC to become of enormous impact. Not, I mean, they're doing good impact very well, making good progress, but enormous impact like ISRO. What would be your imagination thoughts for creativity in that direction?
My imagination for, sorry, what is the question? My imagination for?
Imagination for seeing something like AMTDC become a center of excellence in manufacturing, much similar to ISRO in the context.
Thank you very much, sir. You are touching my heart now. You are touching my heart. I can recall 2015 or 16. I happened to visit Professor Ramesh Babu lab. At that time, he was telling me something. The moment I saw in 2018, my imagination stretched. This is going to become a nucleus for a very larger platform. Probably having a dialogue with Ramesh Babu, he will open their mind at that time what Murthy was feeling. At that time, it was my imagination. AMTDC is going to become a big platform, nurturing not only the youngsters, but nurturing of the small scale industry people, nurturing or minimizing the cost of production of many of the things. So for this AMTDC, I have a lot of imagination. I live in dreams of fascination, of constructive fascination. For AMTDC also, I have the same dreams, I have the same imagination that it will become a role model, not only in IIT Madras, for all IITs, not only for IITs, for all the universities in India. This is what exactly is required. We have a capability, but always we wait, somebody must take the lead. Who will take that lead? Till that one they take the lead, we keep on waiting. Thanks to Professor Ramesh Babu, thanks to Professor Ramurthy, thanks to his mentors of Ramesh Babu, his Radhakrishnan, Professor Radhakrishnan, YVGK Murthy, and all these people, probably, to a certain extent, he worked for some time in ISRO also, the culture he carried to IIT Madras. All these things put together made him to put a nucleus, the seed. Now the seed is growing tree. It is going to become a banyan tree. This is my imagination for the entire world. It is not that heavy industry. I must thank the heavy industries department very profusely. Normally, government departments, when funding, they will have a conservative approach, that too with the academics and all the thing, thinking that academics will confine only to publish the papers, but not for delivering of the product. But here is a classic example, sacrificing even the publications of the academic activities, nurturing of the technology, and showing the way forward. This has become, so I must thank profusely Dr. Chidambaram too, who has nourished, probably nourished, or Ramesh Babu can recall some of these things. These were the imaginations at that time. These are the imaginations which I am feeling, seeing happy, they are realized into a reality and having the same dreams for the future too.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a detailed response.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir, for your wishes and also blessings. I think let me share my experiences with Dr. TGK Murthy since 1978. When I first went to IASC to do my master's. That's where I met him in the library of an IASC. I think since then we have been in touch, and then is actually my mentor and also a family friend. and well-wisher, and he advises many of them without any uh, biases and prejudice. I think that is where I felt that a youngster should get to know some introduction by people like him, and also by eminent people who have already given the webinars. I also feel that the benefit of enjoying the friendship and then mentorship with such people will really enthuse many of them to reach higher and higher heights. That is the motive behind the AMTDC, or behind all the projects that we are doing it for the nation. So I think this is a brief, interaction which I wanted to share it. So thank you, Murthy. I think it's really a great honor for all the students who have attended this meeting, along with many
Yeah.
who have listened to you. I think we will definitely meet. I just wanted to invite you to AMTDC to have a one-to-one session with many youngsters. In the sense, even Dr. Subbu also comes once in a while and spends almost 4 or 5 days. I think we can really make a change in the imagination that you are talking about, in a positive imagination. I think it requires enormous effort from many who have experienced the benefits of this imagination. So I think the day is not too far. Maybe I was thinking today, okay, how do I invite him? No, see, one talk is not enough for anybody.
Yeah.
And engaging at least a few days, then changing the mindset of the people in terms of what Dr. Subbu has pointed out, in terms of the wealth, in terms of the admissions, in terms of the success, etc., can be actually changed into a positive mindset also. So thank you very much, sir. I think it's really great.
Yeah. The last few words. Thank you very much, Professor Ramesh Babu. Kindly convey my thanks to Professor Murthy, the director IIT, and if possible, convey my thanks to the scientific advisor, the government of India, who is nourishing this center, and also the executives of the heavy industries department. I thank Vikram and all your team of people for providing me an opportunity, even at this stage, to share some of my thoughts with all of you. I feel very happy. I pray and wish all the best for everyone, for the good of this country, for the good of the humanity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskaram. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Namaste.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you.